It started like a thunderclap that shook the palace walls. Buckingham Palace had just dropped a bombshell. Meghan Markle was officially stripped of her royal title. No rumors this time, no whispers, no anonymous sources. This was the real thing, a final, cold, written statement that sent shockwaves through Britain and across the entire world. People gasped, journalists scrambled, even palace insiders went silent for a moment. Because this wasn't just about Meghan, it was about power, scandal, and a storm that had been brewing for years, one tied to the dark, toxic shadow of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, to be clear, Meghan wasn't involved with Epstein personally, but the name, that name, carried poison. It had already stained the House of Windsor once through Prince Andrew, and now that stain had spread like wildfire. Meghan, through her royal ties and public identity, had become tangled in a web of guilt by association. And the palace? Well, the palace had decided enough was enough. For years, Meghan had proudly wrapped herself in the title Duchess of Sussex. It wasn't just a title, it was armor. It gave her status, recognition, and legitimacy on the world stage. But as the Epstein scandal reignited and Andrew's ghost refused to stay buried, the monarchy grew desperate to save its reputation. The decision came swiftly. The title would no longer protect her. And leading this royal rebellion wasn't Parliament, wasn't the king. It was Prince William himself, the future monarch, the one man determined to rebuild the crown's honor even if it meant breaking his own family apart. You see, once upon a time, everyone thought royal titles were permanent, something sacred, something you could only surrender voluntarily. But that illusion shattered when a new document appeared, a letters patent, rewritten to give the monarchy the power to remove titles by force. It was William's secret weapon. Before that, royals like Andrew could refuse to let go of their privileges, even in disgrace. But now, all it took was a royal signature. With that, any title could vanish, gone, erased, stripped clean from the record. It was bold, it was ruthless, and it made one thing crystal clear. When William becomes king, the days of untouchable royals are over. But why this fury? Why this cold, deliberate move? The answer was buried deep in a scandal that nearly destroyed the monarchy. Prince Andrew's disgrace. The Epstein saga had been a slow-burning nightmare. For years, the palace tried to contain it, issuing vague statements, denying rumors, hoping the public would move on. But instead, the scandal only grew darker. Reports revealed that Andrew's ties to Epstein weren't just social. They were financial, secret meetings, questionable donations, and suspicious favors. And then came the whispers that Andrew had allegedly leaned on police and Scotland Yard to protect himself, even targeting and discrediting Epstein's victims. This wasn't just embarrassment anymore. It was corruption. Then came Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, the fun, charming ex-wife who'd managed to stay in the royal loop. Turns out, her lifestyle had been partly supported by Epstein's money. The public was stunned. The palace was humiliated. It wasn't one bad apple. It was an infection spreading through the royal bloodline. The monarchy found itself standing in the middle of a firestorm. Headlines screaming royal corruption, parliament demanding answers, and the people losing faith. For William, that was the breaking point. He saw what his father, King Charles, refused to see. That one scandal could cripple the crown, but several could destroy it entirely. The old system was broken. Titles, once meant to symbolize honor and duty, had become shields for privilege and protection. And that's when William made the call, never again. He wasn't just thinking about Andrew anymore. He was thinking about the next threat, the next ticking bomb. And that, in his eyes, was Harry and Meghan. Not because of crimes, not because of Epstein, but because of influence. Even after stepping away from royal life, Harry and Meghan continued using their titles, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, in books, documentaries, podcasts, and endless interviews. To the monarchy, that was dangerous, because every time they spoke, the royal name was dragged into their stories, their opinions, their dramas. The palace had no control, but paid the price every single time. William knew it. He saw it happening again and again. Every brand deal, every Netflix appearance, every controversial statement, it all came with that royal label attached, Duke and Duchess. That title was their golden ticket, and William wanted to tear it up before it could explode. Because to him, it wasn't about punishment, it was about survival. The monarchy couldn't afford another royal scandal built on fame and freedom. It had to protect itself, even if that meant cutting family ties. And so, in quiet meetings behind heavy palace doors, William started pushing the plan, preparing for the day he would have the full power to strip Harry and Meghan's titles once and for all. Meanwhile, something else was unfolding, something just as crucial. King Charles was slipping, not in health necessarily, but in authority. People whispered that he was too soft, too indecisive, too scared of confrontation. When the scandals came, Andrew, Harry, Meghan, Charles hesitated. He tried to keep the peace, but peace doesn't survive in royal wars. Behind closed doors, Charles relied heavily on Queen Camilla's advice, often retreating into private discussions instead of taking decisive public action. And the nation began to wonder, Was he truly strong enough to lead? Was he the king the monarchy needed during its darkest hour? Even Parliament grew uneasy. Advisors murmured about abdication, about whether Charles might one day step aside and let William take the throne sooner. And in that silence, a new kind of leader was forming. Colder, sharper, more calculating. Prince William. He wasn't waiting for permission. He was preparing for power, because he knew the monarchy couldn't be saved with kindness or compromise. It needed someone who could make brutal decisions, even if those decisions broke hearts. And that's exactly what William was ready to do. Reports now say he's willing to strip titles not just from Harry and Meghan, but even from his own children, Charlotte and Louis, if they ever grow up and refuse to serve the monarchy. Think about that. A father ready to remove his children's birthright. That's how far he's willing to go. Because in William's eyes, the crown comes before blood. Titles are not gifts. They are uniforms. And you only wear them if you serve. If he's prepared to cut off his own children, then Harry and Meghan never stood a chance. This isn't personal. It's principle. William doesn't want another Andrew situation, another royal embarrassment that drags the crown through the mud. He's ready to take the pain now to avoid disaster later. For him, it's simple. If you abandon duty, you abandon the title. No exceptions. And that's what makes this story so chilling. The monarchy, once defined by family loyalty, is now ruled by cold logic. You're either inside the circle, loyal, silent, obedient, or you're out. Once you leave, the crown doesn't follow you. Inside the palace, deep within locked offices, there are already papers prepared. Legal frameworks, draft documents, everything needed to erase royal identities with the stroke of a pen. They say the atmosphere in Buckingham Palace feels heavy these days, like a storm is coming. Everyone knows it, everyone feels it. William isn't that young prince walking 2 steps behind anymore. He's the storm himself, standing tall, eyes set on the throne, ready to cut, rebuild, and redefine royalty. The titles once thought eternal now hang by a thread. Harry and Meghan can feel it. The world can feel it. The countdown has begun. When that day arrives, when William finally becomes king, he won't hesitate. The reset will begin. The purge will strike. Titles will fall like dominoes. And the monarchy will enter a new era, smaller, tougher, more disciplined. An age built on duty, not DNA. And across the ocean, far from the palace walls, Harry and Meghan will watch as their royal names fade away like mist, gone with the wind. No more duke, no more duchess, no more royal identity. Just 2 people, stripped of their crowns, left with only their family name, Mountbatten Windsor. And in that silence, one haunting question will echo. Did the monarchy save itself that day? Or did the royal family break forever? Because make no mistake, this isn't the end of the storm. It's only the beginning. And the thunder? It's getting closer. And yet, even as the dust settles around Buckingham Palace, something darker is simmering beneath the surface. Insiders whisper that this title removal was never just about damage control. It was about reshaping the monarchy entirely. William has been quietly building what some now call the new royal order, a version of the crown that functions less like a family and more like a corporation. Every move, every member, every public word is judged on value, purpose, and discipline. Gone are the days when royals could coast on privilege or sentiment. William wants accountability. And in that world, Meghan's independence and Harry's rebellion are the exact threats he wants erased. Because for William, loyalty isn't proven by bloodlines anymore. It's proven by silence, duty, and obedience. And Meghan? She has been the opposite of that. She's loud. She's public. She's unpredictable. That's the kind of chaos a future king cannot afford. Even now, behind gilded curtains and in private royal meetings, sources claim that certain courtiers have already drafted the official wording for the final removal. Every detail, the legal phrasing, the public statement, even the timing, is being perfected. The palace wants the moment to look measured and regal, not vengeful. But those who've seen the documents say it's pure cold steel, emotionless, final, irreversible. And across the ocean, Meghan and Harry sense it coming. Their team has gone silent. Their public appearances have slowed. Insiders say they're preparing for impact, a media storm that could redefine their legacy. Because when that royal letter finally drops, it won't just close a chapter, it'll erase a crown, and the world will finally see who truly won, the rebel lovers or the ruthless future king.